In this episode, you're going to learn why I stopped doing the podcast the last couple of months. And also, you're going to learn what it took for me to get out of a huge, scary funk. So stay tuned. I'm Adam Kadu, and it's time to master the art of real heart alignment, where you live, work, and play from your personal power as energy aligns, your gifts flow, and life simply works. These life-changing conversations are designed to help you to see what you're not seeing, hear what you're not hearing, and to be who you're not being, as the world needs more heart-centered leaders now more than ever. Are you ready to say no to living a half-hearted life and say yes instead to boldly living from a place of real heart alignment? Welcome to the Adam Kadu podcast. Yo. Welcome back to another episode of the Adam Kadu podcast. Now, first of all, I want to start out and I would like to apologize to you guys from the bottom of my heart. And I don't feel the need to apologize, hence the title. But I would, from the bottom of my heart, like to apologize. I committed to this podcast and I committed to showing up weekly for you guys. And the last 2 months of my life have been challenging, to say the least. They've been trying. They've been heavy, they've been hard, they've been all the labels and all the interpretations. And I'm okay saying that. For a while, it was hard for me to admit something was hard because that's a label, right? The only reason it's hard is because I say it's hard. I coach people on words, but I caught myself realizing that no, this is a challenging situation. There's no labels needed. However, this is hard. Over the last couple of months, I really felt like I fell in this funk, not so much from a standpoint of, energy and depression. I know what that feels like, but I really feel like my thoughts were just very convoluted. I felt like I wasn't able to see my own perspective because I was so focused on what I felt others needed from me. And my mentor, one of my mentors, Don Javier, says, anytime you are looking through the lens of other people's perception, that's not really perception, but rather that is distortion. And so my mind, my vision was distorted. And it took me asking for what I needed. And when I wasn't able to receive what I needed or get what I needed in that moment, I had no other choice but to take what I needed. And I wanted to have a little fun with this title, take what you need. That can sound a certain way. And even the word take has a connotation to it, right? It's like we're not supposed to take things without permission. We live in a permission-based society. We've got to ask for stuff and get blessings, and then we do something. But when you know you need something, just as long as it's not harming somebody else to an extent of breaking the law or taking what's not rightfully yours, but taking something like time, space, taking something that you need, if the people around you in your life are not willing to allow that space, that time for yourself, and you know that you need that time and space for yourself, it's time to take it for yourself and for them. And I'm going to get into more of the conversation of what that looked like for me in my life, in my world. But just know, yet again, I do apologize for missing a beat with you guys. We're going to get back on track, weekly episodes, and I'm committed to doing so. And so one more time, thank you for your space and grace with allowing me to sort through some stuff. And we'll talk deeply about that in this episode here. So back to where I was. So I felt like at the end of the day, I was losing my center. And I have a program you guys have heard me mention numerous times on here called Heart-Centered Selling. I don't take being in your center lightly, because for a long time as an entrepreneur, it was so hard for me to stay in my center, to stay in my power, right? To stay in my strength. The world has so many opportunities, so many distractions, so many things, especially in the world we're living in today, that would love to extract your power from you. And I want you to really look at this conversation, not from a standpoint of an analogy, just like be powerful and take your power back, things of that nature. No, you actually have personal power. And the things you focus on, the things that you quote unquote, I'll use the word worship, you give your power to that. So say for an example, let's take it up to the high of the high. If you worship God, or the universe or higher spiritual realm, you give your energy to that. And I would dare to say, in giving your energy to that, you're going to receive as much, if not more, energy back. So that's a good bet. Let's infuse our energy there. Let's keep our attention there. Let's channel our power there, because we're going to get it back. But also, we've got, like, let's just say, news. If you're fixated on the news, and if you're watching all the COVID and the Omicron or whatever it's called these days, and you're fixated on that, and you're spending a lot of time and attention on that, you're giving your power to that. If you're fixated on your kids and how they're frustrating, and your significant other, and why they're not acting a certain way, and why things aren't the way they are, and how things can be, you're giving your power to that. And I was giving a lot of my power away to my wife. And I've had conversations on this podcast and different coaching calls that I've done in different programs, how my wife has helped me transform to the umpth, thousandth, millionth degree. She's my transformation agent. She helps me grow. And in the last few months, I really kind of got wrapped up in how she was seeing the world, and her fears and doubts and insecurities and all this. And I started taking it on as my own. And I started becoming resentful. I wasn't able to catch myself in this cycle that I was getting into. And I actually went to Sedona, Arizona a few weeks ago that I'll talk about in a bit. And one of the things that I learned about myself through getting some coaching, getting some guidance, being around other people who kind of can see me, who know me, was I was reaching a new level in my business, growing out of my comfort zone. And anytime we stretch outside our comfort zone, no matter what level we're at, there's a quote that I don't love and I don't adopt, but I'll just say it: new level, new devil. And I was facing some kind of anxiety about, the growth, without even really realizing it. And when I get uncomfortable in situations, sometimes I will take responsibility here, and I will say that I will do certain things in a certain way that possibly trigger my wife. And, and she kind of gives me feedback to that. She's mirroring things back to me. That's why she's my transformation agent, is because she mirrors things back to me. But what happened is I was taking so much responsibility in our relationship. And, in different programs, I've been taught and trained and taught to take responsibility. And so even if somebody else is doing something or acting a certain way, or wanting me to be a certain way, I see that as I'm causing that, which there's a lot of power there, right? Because the last thing you want to do is to give your power away and say, they're just like this, and that's it. However, in a relationship, and this is also coaching that I got in Sedona, it's almost like you're holding up a table, and there's two legs holding up that table in a relationship. And in certain areas, she was, weak. In certain areas, I was weak, but I was trying to compensate my strength and be more stoic, if you will, be more manly. If there's things in the relationship, I just got to shut up about it and keep doing my thing, type of deal. And I was starting to close off because I felt like, she wasn't fully holding things up. I felt like she was weighing a lot on me and wasn't taking responsibility for her own life. But being the big-hearted person I am, I took that on myself. I took it on, and I got inside my head. And I was trying to fix it. I was trying to solve a problem, as Einstein says, from the same level of consciousness that it was created. It was created in my mind, and I was trying to figure it out. And I got so wrapped up in trying to figure it out and figuring out how we can get back on track. We just weren't communicating well. We were butting heads. We were just kind of starting to resent each other a little bit. I mean, we were literally just drifting apart. And I was trying to figure it out. And inside the same environment, literally, I work here, I eat here, I sleep here. I don't hardly go anywhere, which for me, I'm cool with that. I mean, I love my people, but I'm okay, being able to, stay to my work and connect with people online. It pains me not being able to go to events and things of that nature and really feed my soul that way, but I'm okay with it. However, I wasn't able to see outside the box because I was in the box. And so I had this opportunity where I had kind of wrote it off in my mind a little bit, just with, all the COVID stuff and everything. And there's a spike. I had this opportunity to go to Sedona, Arizona to mastermind with James's Business by Design coaches. And so like I said, I wasn't quite sure I was going, but at this one standpoint, I just knew I needed to go, like absolutely 100% needed to go. And let me break that down. So about 2 months ago now, month and a half, 2 months, my wife being 30, what was she? 37 weeks pregnant at the time. Wait, she's 37 now, maybe 34, 35 weeks pregnant. She actually fell and broke her ankle. And so she was put in a cast. And the very next day after she broke her ankle, our nanny had her vacation scheduled out. She was going to see her family, miles and miles and miles away, hopping on a plane that next day. So I had no other choice but to shut everything down in my business and fully turn on dad and husband mode. And so she couldn't do anything. So I needed to get her water and food. And, I needed to take over with all the nanny tasks, doing the bottles and, just cooking and cleaning and laundry and everything. And this is on top of me not being in my center already. I was not stable. I was just kind of in a bad place mentally. And yet again, I say that, and it's not like it's kind of, I don't know. It's hard to explain because I want to put a caveat here, because I've been depressed before. I know what that's like in 2014. But for me, it was just this underlying frustration, this dissatisfaction, this almost, to say it, almost a pessimistic point of view coming out of me. And I'm the most optimistic, opportunistic, like possibility ridden guy you would know. But I was literally starting to see the world through a lens of pessimism. I was starting to see my relationship where there wasn't a lot of opportunity to course correct, to get on the same page. And it scared me. Sorry about the alarm there. And it scared me. It really threw me for a loop. And so I realized yet again in that moment that I needed something. And so the wife, starts getting a little bit better with her leg. She's getting around on crutches, and, the nanny's going to be back, at a certain time. And I'm like, look, there's no doubt about it. If indeed I kind of ride this out, if indeed nothing changes, and I've been trying things, I've been, meditating and just releasing energy from my body and all this stuff, but I just kept getting caught in this cycle. I was moving my attention, doing all the things that I was trained to do, and I was just stuck in this cycle. And I just realized that, look, I've got to go to Sedona. There's no doubt about it. If I'm going to be in my center, in my peace, when the wifey is healing after pregnancy, which, that's a lot on a woman. Those moms out there, that. I saw that firsthand. I don't know that from experience, but I saw what she went through with labor. Y'all are stronger than me. I'll tell you that. I know how she was when she was recovering. Obviously, she's just tired, and the baby is up, and we're not getting great sleep and things like that. And I just knew I could see the future. If I don't do something now, it was not going to end well. It was just going to be ugly, because I wasn't in my center. I know she's not going to be in her center after, going through labor. And so I just knew that I needed this. I had 0% of her blessing. She did not want me to go. She thought it was the most selfish play in the world. She had all these different reasons why she thought I was going, all of it in between. And I'm kind of stuttering a little bit because it rocked me a bit, because she knows me, and she knows that I don't ask for a lot. I really don't ask for a lot. I'm a giver. It's been my identity. It's how my mom was. Literally, she would make sure everybody was taken care of before she would sit down to eat herself. She would do everything for everybody else, and then she would work on herself or help herself. And I kind of adopted that from her. And it was a bad deal. Like, I literally left without her blessing. And I knew things would be fine. The nanny was back. My wife was starting to get around a little bit more on crutches. Yes, it was going to be inconvenient. I was going to be gone for 4 days. I actually, instead of flying, because I want to honor her, she's really afraid of this COVID thing, and rightfully so, She didn't want me just running into airports and, being on planes with people and coughing and sneezing, all that stuff. So I drove 17 hours to Sedona on a Wednesday. We masterminded all day on a Thursday, masterminded all day on Friday, and I hit the road in the morning on Saturday. I left a little late and I didn't get in till about 4:00 in the morning. So then I quarantined for a few days. Without the little man knowing I was back, I literally rolled up a sleeping bag down here in my office and chilled out. Chilled out for a while, took a few COVID tests, everything's good. And I'm telling you, so much transpired in Sedona that it's changed the dynamic. It's changed the trajectory. It's changed so much about my life, my business, and the relationship with my wife. And yet again, if I would have been looking through her perspective only, and she even, was she was doing what she was doing to try to persuade me not to go. She was even saying it looks bad to other people, right? But I was having conversations and really running things through, the coaches that were going to be at the event and just talking to different people, and they kind of got the sense it was like, this is not selfish. It's actually selfless. It's not for you and you alone. I had the intention to come back whole, to come back centered, to give this relationship what it needs, to give my baby boy what he needs, and to give the new little man coming literally any day in the next couple of weeks, to give him what he needs, to give my clients what he needs, to give my students what they need, to give you podcast listeners what you need. I had to go and fill my cup. It was empty. But I really started kind of second guessing myself. I'm like, am I being selfish? What am I really doing this for? And I got right back into the perception, what she was perceiving. But I knew in my heart where my attention was, where my heart was at. It was for my family, first and foremost. But there's been times before that I cared deeply for my wife, and I used to give her so much power away. And then I stopped. But then I was reaching this new level, and unbeknownst to myself, I started kind of giving her my power away again. In the whole 2 days of the masterminding, I was working on the relationship with my wife. And James even kind of like made a comment at one point. He's like, we're here in this mastermind and you're wanting to work on this. I was like, well, this has a reflection in everything that I do. This has a reflection in my business. This has a reflection in my relationship with my kids. This has a reflection in my spiritual growth. This right now is the constraint point, the theory of constraint. If there's a bottle and the bottle has a hole in a certain part of the bottle, the water can only fill up to that hole. There's a constraint there. So this was my constraint at the time. So absolutely, I was working on my relationship, and it's already had a huge impact on my business. I'm already showing up in a whole new way, to where I was starting to resist. I was starting to check out. I was starting to drift. And I'm no longer in that place, because I took it amongst myself to ask for what I needed. And in that moment when I wasn't able to receive or to get what I needed, then I took what I needed. And I have no shame in saying that. I could sound a certain way, but yet again, I'm not getting into other people's perception, because I know where it came from. I know where my heart was at. It was with pure intentions. There was so much growth. I mean, the ride out there, driving 16 hours. I love to drive. Most people would be like, that's suicide. Like, I would not do that. No, thank you. No, thank you very much. I loved every freaking second of it. It was so peaceful. It was so beautiful. I actually listened to some of my Don Javier audios that I have, just to really to see what I'm not seeing. And I realized that I was seeing the relationship in a certain way that wasn't serving us. And I also realized to serve our relationship with the one I love, it comes down to me giving her what she needs. And I wasn't doing it. She wasn't giving me what I needed, and we were at a stalemate. And, I get home, and she's kind of busting my chops a little bit, still is sometimes, but our relationship is in a beautiful place. I've been home 2 weeks or so. And the energy's light around here. We're manifesting certain things. Not only, money and finances, but we're manifesting more love, and just more great opportunities in our lives. And, it's just a beautiful place right now, where just 2 weeks ago, I was wanting to run away. I was wanting to get the heck out of this place. And I didn't have the blessing to get the help that I needed. And I knew I needed help. And so I took it. So I'll ask you the question is, where in life are you waiting for permission when you know deep down inside you need something? Where in life are you giving your power away where it's time to stand in your power? And in conversations in Sedona, I got really clear of what it looked like when I was in my power, because I knew I was going to come home and, I did. I hurt my wife. I hurt her. Her greatest fear is abandonment. My greatest fear is being controlled. And so those two conflict, not as often as they did, definitely not as severe as they did, but they conflict sometimes. And I have not been around people, like, besides just a few people in my family. I went golfing once in the last 2 years, and I just needed it. I needed that. I needed that time. I needed some mentorship. I needed some coaching from Mr. James. I needed the spiritual opening, the spiritual energy of Sedona. As soon as I drove into Sedona, like, I felt numbness in my body. My hand went numb. And you might be thinking, well, you drove 17 hours. Of course your hand went numb, but literally I could feel the energy as soon as I got there. And it was just all around a beautiful experience. So yet again, this conversation, it can sound a little, aggressive to take what you need, but this isn't necessarily about taking, but this is about just doing what's best for you. Because what's best for you is best for other people when you have pure intentions, when you have an open heart. And so I always want to reflect. I always want to phrase the question back to you, because these podcasts are for you. It's not just for me to sit here and tell my experience here. I know there's always lessons in here, but I want to reflect it back to you and ask you, where are you not doing what you know deep down inside you can and would do that would benefit you greatly? Because I don't want to say the word should, because that's not a real word. I don't think that's a real word in my dictionary. It's not what I should do. It's what do you need? What do you need? What do you feel called? So I'll leave you with that. I'll leave you with that, my friend. So thank you for listening to this episode. I'm so excited to roll some new things out, to really get in a flow with the podcast again. And I'm just on fire. My heart's open like never before. And I'm ready to give. My cup is full right now, because I was able to find the courage in myself to honor myself. And I still want to make sure that I'm in alignment with our relationship. But if it's taking away from me, then that's not serving me or my wife. So where in life do you need to fill your cup? And I realized too, I've actually been doing 75 hard for, I think, 8 days in a row. And one of the stipulations of 75 hard is kind of like, it's a challenge, if you will. It's like a commitment to exercise a couple times per day, read 10 pages of a book, eat, healthy, drink a gallon of water, take a picture of yourself, things of that nature. It's just a way to test yourself. And on day 8 of 75 hard, one of the things in 75 hard, one of the stipulations is one of your workouts must be outside. And so I've been spending more time outside working out. It's cold here. It's getting ready to snow like 10 inches tomorrow or tonight. And I'm like, bring it on. I'm still working out outside. And I had found parts of myself, because I got out of my environment for a bit, that I wasn't able to see. I love being outside. As a kid, I loved being outside. And because of COVID and, the fears and, all this stuff, I've been keeping to myself. I've been staying inside. And not that I'm just going to be running out into crowds of people. I don't really care to do that right now. And I know my wife would not appreciate that, being 38 weeks, 39 weeks pregnant right now. We got 2 weeks before the little man gets here. I know she wouldn't appreciate that. However, I see it as an opportunity to, if I start, closing off, or if I feel like I'm losing myself a bit, or if I'm just kind of really getting in my head, get your butt outside. Go out in nature, go walking a little bit. And it's just like, it's so simple, right? It's so freaking simple. And now I have this foolproof strategy of how to get back to myself before it gets to the point that it did. And there's just so many more lessons, so much more growth, so many more lessons. But yet again, I will leave you with that. And I now know in my body, because I took the time in Sedona to get very clear on this. And I'll share this with you as well. I now know in my body and in my thinking when I'm in my power. And I now know when I'm giving my power away. And so now, with this awareness, with this being an intention, with this being upfront in my mind, I'm able to sense if indeed I'm starting to give my power away to my wife again. Because yet again, that's not fair to her or to me, because it's short-lived for her. She gets a little power, she gets to feel good, and I feel bad. And then, I start closing off or getting resentful or whatever. And even if I do feel that I gave her a little bit of power, it has no meaning. And I'm right back to where I am. I'm telling you, the stability for me being in my center, I will just say right now, I will plant the seed that this has changed so much in our relationship. And I know, 100% know, that she appreciates it. She appreciates me being in my strength. She feels more secure. She feels more grounded. She feels more in control now that I'm back in my center, now that I'm back in my strength. And yet again, we would not be here if I didn't take what I needed. My cup was empty and now it is full. So the question is for you, what do you need? What do you need right now to fill your cup? Because as big-hearted entrepreneurs, we give with the best of them. But we've got to be able to fill our cups. So what do you need? All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm getting chills. Thank you for listening. Thank you for bearing with me over these last couple months. Literally, it was just like, it was working by circumstance. I didn't have the time. I didn't have the energy. I have a newfound appreciation for entrepreneurs who are parents, especially solo parents. I felt like I was a solo parent there for a while. I have a newfound appreciation to you. And I feel like I even want to create some sort of a story or something about this, like a bigger, video or something. Yeah, because that was big. That was a challenge. Okay. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. I'm doing a vlog over on YouTube, and I actually put out a couple videos of when I was in Sedona. I've got a clip of James where he was sharing some wisdom. We were up in the mountains, got some cool videos, and just edited it all fun with some music and all that. So I'd love for you guys to head over there to YouTube to check it out. And also, if you're listening to this podcast episode, I am announcing in the next week my 6-month coaching intensive. This is an opportunity to get yourself in an environment that's conducive for growth, a place where you're around other entrepreneurs that isn't some group with hundreds and hundreds of people where you hide in the back of the group. I've been in there, so I know what that's like. This is a smaller group where you're going to have access to me, coaching every other week, and you'll have additional training and curriculum that's designed to really help you to build your business in a way that takes you from this place of having a hobby or of dabbling, doing things here and there, and then chasing the next client and hoping for this, but actually building your business in a way that gives you the longevity, that gives you the structure, the foundation, the framework for massive momentum ahead. The things that I had to do to finally get my wheel spinning in my business. So if you're interested in that at all, send me a message, direct message me. We'll have more information coming out about the coaching intensive very soon. So, and we're doing a Q&A about it. So yet again, yeah, just message me. We'll put a link in the comments or in the bio or the description and all that. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to go get my workout outside. It's starting to rain a bit. I think the snow is coming in, so I'm going to try to beat the weather a little bit. So more to come, but thank you. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for being in here. And until next time, yet again, tap into yourself. What do you need right now? What do you need? Ask for what you need. And if you're not able to receive what you need, as long as it's within the law, take what you need. All right, you guys, much love. Talk to you soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Adam Kadu podcast. If you would, take a moment to subscribe and click the bell icon so that way you get notified when future episodes air. Now, here's the thing. If you are looking for the show notes, you can find a link to those below. If you're looking for the handles of the guests that I've been interviewing, things of that nature, you'll find that here. And if there's anything else that stood out to you in the episode, or if there's anything I can do for you, please leave a comment below, or for sure message me on Instagram if you'd like, as I'm always looking to hear what's working well for you and what caught your interest about the Adam Kadu podcast. So, time to go, time to change the world, time to help more people. Are you ready? Let's go do this thing. The world needs more leaders. So thanks again for listening to the Adam Kadu podcast.